Today, we got a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. You may have seen this guy in the movie Monsters, Inc. Probably one of the most important roles in that movie. Without that guy, the Snow Cone Man, there wouldn't be no Monsters, Inc. You may have also seen this guy from the Island of Misfit Toys. Again, a very important character in that movie. But most importantly, we see this character in Star Wars, and that is the Wampa. So probably by now, you're very well aware that the Wampa is in the game. If you haven't known, click on the card in the top right-hand corner. I go over my initial review on the character, go over his kit. Long story short, this character looks pretty insane. And today, I kind of want to give you my own opinion on this character because he's in the guild event store and it's not the easiest currency to come around. You got a lot of stuff in here. You got the Gear 12, you got the purple gear, you got Hermit Yoda, and now we got Wampa. So is he worth all your hard-earned guild events currency? Well, today, we're going to talk about all of that. So to get us started here, I'm going to roll some footage of territory battles and afterwards a little bit of phase 1 of the heroic AAT raid. So I went through with him in the dark side territory battles, and this is when it's really difficult. Dark side territory battles right now has been really insane. It's been extremely difficult, a lot of bugs, yada, yada, yada. You guys are probably aware with what's going on right now. I'm confident they're going to fix this sometime in the future after this one is over. But this guy was crushing it in the 4th wave, which is known to be one of the hardest Super Saiyan waves we've ever had in this game. In case you didn't notice, his basic does 100% extra damage up against rebel enemies. And in dark side territory battles, that is just spelling danger for the rebels who try to attack the Wampa. When he counterattacks, he does big damage. There's times he gets 40,000, 30,000 damage on his basic on a counterattack, which is quite insane. He also has Daze, and as of now, the pre-nerfed version of the dark side territory battles, Daze is such an important mechanic because there are so many counterattacks, so much bonus turn meter going around on all those rebels, and his AoE Daze really comes in handy, and it does a decent amount of damage as well. So that's another thing that's really going well for him. He's got that healing immunity, and he has such a high chance to counter. He just wipes out these rebels one by one, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can somehow take over a whole entire wave on his own. He is just absolutely insane. So for dark side territory battles, if that's something you are concerned, if that's something you're trying to master with your guild, the Wampa is by far probably one of the best characters for the dark side territory battles. And as we go along here, you're probably going to realize I think he's one of the best dark side characters we've had in quite a while. So now let's flip it over to the heroic AAT raid. I just put a random squad together. If you don't know, Han Solo and Commander Luke Skywalker can do some major work in the first phase of the heroic AAT raid. So I went ahead, just tossed in Thrawn and the Wampa, and again, the Wampa does great stuff. His Daze comes in handy to prevent the B2 Super Battle Droid from gaining turn meter, prevents the Magna Guards from counterattacking, and his basic just does huge damage. He kind of fits in that Commander Luke Skywalker lead because when General Grievous uses AoE or the Magna Guards or the B2 Super Battle Droids, the Wampa just goes ahead and counters with them. So again, he's a great character for the heroic AAT raid. That was just for phase 1. I assume he might come in handy for phase 4 up against the B2 Super Battle Droids. Use your AoE Daze. You can just stop the B2 Battle Droids right at the very beginning. Now, I haven't used him yet in the Rancor raid. Now, his kit isn't screaming Rancor raid viability, but if you're using a Darth Vader Zeta leadership, the basic just stacks up damage over time on the enemies with the Wampa. And if you don't know, Darth Vader Zeta, his leadership has never-ending damage over time until he is defeated finally, so that might work very well. But on the surface, the Wampa is not screaming Rancor raid character, but I'm sure there are plenty of ways to use him. So far, dark side territory battles, major check. Heroic AAT, definitely a lot of viability there. Now, my most important thing when I look at a character is arena viability. For the free-to-play player or for the light spender, arena is the most important attribute for them because that's where we get our crystals, and if you're not getting crystals, you're not able to fuel your roster. So we're going to look at the Wampa both on a defensive standpoint and look at some offensive teams I think that he might work in.
Let's kick some ice.
All right, so we're getting into battle here. Now, since they don't have the Wampa, I actually lucked out there. He went ahead and stunned Short Trooper, which is a little bit odd. So what we're going to do first is just let's use Death Trooper's AoE. Since they don't have Grand Admiral Thrawn, I don't have to worry about being fractured at the beginning. And I think, to be honest, I think on defense, Thrawn is going to be a lot more useful than the Wampa, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So we got a couple target locks. I was hoping we landed a target lock on General Kenobi, but that's fine. So I know the Wampa is going to be insane. He does some pretty big damage. I'm going to just go and fracture him. That's perfectly fine. Now we got the taunt. All right. Got a little butt whoop in there. That's all good. Let's see if we can stun Kenobi to prevent him from cleansing. Beautiful. All right, so as long as I keep the Wampa fraction, I feel like, you know, he's not going to be that much of a threat. So here we go. Awesome. Now, luckily we have that target lock to prevent some of that stealth. I'm really loving the Imperial Probe Droid. I can't wait to add him to my own personal team because I feel like he's going to really help in terms of controlling the critical damage immunity, controlling those taunts from General Kenobi. I think he's going to work very well. So let's see if we can get another taunt up here. Now, this team I'm using is not nearly as fast as that Grand Moff Tarkin team. If you haven't seen it, click on the card in the top right. Essentially, that Grand Moff Tarkin team I was showing, it's an offensive powerhouse that doesn't need General Kenobi, doesn't need R2, doesn't need Commander Luke Skywalker, doesn't need Han Solo, and it can crush meta teams in under a minute. Now, I know a lot of people are complaining about the defensive aspect of that team, and that team wasn't about defense. It was supposed to show you that there are ways to crush the meta on offense without having to use the typical meta things that we normally used to. A lot of people have Emperor Palpatine. A lot of people have Grand Moff Tarkin. So that was the whole point of the video, and I think it kind of flew over some people's heads, but a lot of people understood that that team I showcased was really good. All right, so we're kind of, I mean, I'm able to chat casually with you guys, and I'm not really feeling a struggle with the Wampa being on. I feel like we were able to control the Wampa pretty well, and Mobile Gamer, I know for a fact, has done some superior work with his mods. On this test account, I don't really finick around too much with the mod layout, and it does all right. Actually, let's see. Let's just go and self-destruct. We already took out most of their team. Oh, look at that. We took out the Wampa and Commander Luke Skywalker. I'm loving the Imperial Probe Droid. Now, as you guys are going to probably see towards the end, I think the Wampa is one of the best all-around dark side characters in the game, but deep down, personally, I'm really loving the Imperial Probe Droid. He is by far one of my probably top 10 favorite characters right now in the game. He's amazing. He's an amazing support character, and he's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the Empire. And look at that. This Empire team just kind of walked over this meta team with the Wampa and superior mods, and I don't think the Wampa is going to be that great on defense unless it's a whole Rebel team going up against this Wampa. So that was a little attribute on looking at them from a defensive standpoint. So let's go on the offense and show you some ways we might be able to use Wampa.
Frosty!
We're going to do something revolutionary here. Instead of using the Imperial Probe Droid, let's try out the Wampa. Wampa is essentially a mini Empire character. I think he has better anti-Rebel synergy than a lot of the Empire characters we have in the game. And unfortunately, the Wampa has been stunned at the beginning. So let's see. Let's just go and fracture. No. Let's swap Terminator Death Trooper. I always like doing this, swapping Terminator Death Trooper. Start up with his AoE, so we increase all those cooldowns. And how we must have missed R2D2, unfortunately. That's a bummer. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna fracture him. Now we just gotta get the Wampa to get in action here, because right now I'm not feeling that much action. Okay, we got the buff immunity. Now I don't know. In this Empire lineup, I feel like the Imperial Probe Droid is going to be far more superior because the target lock, the buff immunity from Director Krennic just pairs well very nicely. We got the buff dispeller. The main reason we might like using the Wampa in this situation is because he does some heavy damage up against these rebels, and I'm hoping to finally get his daze up here because we really need to get a daze. There we go. We got a daze. All right, so here we go. We got a couple of dazes. Beautiful. Now, let's hope. See, the thing is with these debuffs is that R2D2 is just too good. He just helps people cleanse them off right away. Let's get a taunt because we're going to get a couple of AoEs in here in a second probably. There we go. And we prevented the fracture. I don't know. We got a counterattack. Let's see how much damage we can do up against. Let's go up against R2. He's dazed. All right, let's see. 24,000 damage. That's not a joke, guys. He does some really good damage. I might be able to get him finished off here. Let's see. Can we get it? Almost. Let's see. As long as Grand Admiral Thrawn doesn't... There we go. We got it. And there we go. 16,000 damage. I don't know. The Wampa's pretty good. Even though he's not in any sort of meta team, this is kind of close to a dark side meta team. He's just rocking it right now. Let's just finish off Kenobi. I'm not going to mess around. There we go. And it's all right. We lost him. And let's see how much damage we can do up against Han Solo. 25,000. See, the thing is about Wampa is that he really doesn't require any synergy. He's just his only tag is dark side, and that's pretty much it. He doesn't need any sort of particular faction to be in because he's not a rebel, he's not an Empire character. There's not even a creature tag, so he works in many different types of lineups. Mobile Gamer used him in primarily a light side team, and we're using him in a dark side Empire team because, as I said, he's kind of a mini dark side character. And I think we could probably auto this. This is pretty much game, set, and match. Commander Luke Skywalker is going to go insane, but I think we should have this in the bag. All right, come on. 21,000 damage. Yeah, he's an insane character. That's one reason I like the Wampa, is because he's not constricted to a faction. If you guys know, being able to work outside of your faction is one thing I consider when looking at the Master and Grandmaster ranks. And we are going to rank Wampa at the very end. So let's go try one more team, maybe 2 more teams of 5 time, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up our thoughts at the end.
All right, everyone, chill.
Now, our final team for the night, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the General Barris team. Now, you guys are pretty familiar with the concept of this team. Only difference is instead of having Thrawn or Commander Luke Skywalker, we're using Wampa, and Wampa's probably might be a little bit better. He's a very beefy character. He's got so much health. He's got a lot of protection, much more so than Commander Luke Skywalker. So he might be a decent character to put in on defense. He's just very beefy. It's going to be a while to take him out. We all know how these teams kind of work. And here we go. We're going to get everyone to assist. There we go. Some big damage. Now, I'm pretty sure this team might be able to win on full auto, even on offense, because this team really has no way to win unless they somehow connect the buff immunity with critical hit immunity. It's really tough for them to kind of figure this out on defense. But let's kind of start wrapping up my thoughts here. Overall, I'm fairly quite impressed with Wampa. If you heard some of my previous comments about him from, let's say, Mobile Gamers video when I did a collab with him, I said, this kid's amazing. Why couldn't they implement something like this for an actual name brand character such as Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine? Get some sort of rework for them so they could do all of this stuff. So that's kind of how I feel about this. He's just a really solid character. If you guys know, some of the few things I look for is being able to work outside of the faction, not just be restricted within the Rebel or the Empire or the Droid faction. Work in many different types of lineups. Be good in many different types of game modes. And probably one of the most important attributes is being able to counter the meta with all of your loveliness in your kit. So, all right, let's put this on full auto. Long story short, guys, he's gonna be a great character. Should you go and use your guild store currency on him? I've made a guild store or guild events farming guide, and it depends on your situation. If you're someone trying to get to gear 11, you might just want to get your gear up. But I think for the long run, this character is going to be very solid. As I said, Dark Side Territory Battles, big check. AAT raids, big check. Arena, look at this. Holy cow. I'm doing this on complete auto on offense, and I'm not even thinking. I don't have to waste any of my brain cells, and this guy is kicking butt. So he's working in many different types of lineups. Empire, meta type of lineups like what Cubs fan and Mobile Gamer are running. General Kenobi teams, Resistance. He's a great all-around character. So what I'm going to do, I was starting to farm Hermit Yoda, but after seeing how great the Wampa is, I'm stopping my farm for Hermit Yoda, and I'm going to switch over to Wampa. And on that bombshell, let's pull up my Hall of Fame on my website. If you haven't checked it out yet, there's a link down below in the video description to go to this website. I always try to keep this up to date, at least monthly or bi-monthly. And if you notice, in the Grandmaster category, we have the Wampa. Again, very, very solid character. One of the few awesome dark side characters we have in the game right now. The game is very light side heavy. We don't have a lot of great dark side characters. Thrawn and Nihilus were really the only two. And now we got the Wampa. So there you have it, guys. If you want a Grandmaster, I definitely recommend, like all the others, to maybe spend some of your guild event currency on this character. He's going to be great, and you're going to get a lot of use out of him. So if you did find this video helpful, please feel free to leave me a like, comment down below what do you think of this character, and be sure to subscribe, guys, so you're not missing a thing. And as always...